What's up, everybody, and welcome into the Backliners Podcast. Agro and Barracuda, as per usual.
Hello.
Barry, we're getting into a little bit of a stretch in between our SPL phases. Luckily, we've got some big patch notes to talk about. If you missed last week, by the way, we're not going to cover Ishtar at all. Lermy, the designer on Ishtar, was on the show last week. And had I thought we had a really good show and a really interesting one, so definitely check that one out. Even if you listened to one of our episodes last week, we still might have another, because we did a little double header last week, a double une week, if you will, and I will in this particular instance. And so we're not going to cover her at all. We're only talking patch notes, Barra, and chat and podcast listeners, I have to tell you what I just told Barra just a few moments ago.
Mm-hmm. It was very important. It was semi-private.
Normally, these patch notes shows take us a very long time. This week, we are doing a little something different because Barra's got some business to take care of in some sense of the word. Some would say it's the second most important business. And so this show is going to be under an hour, and we're covering all of patch notes. Okay? That's the plan. So we're going to be moving fairly quickly, and we'll see how that goes. Before we get into that, which is not conducive to us getting this show done in under an hour, but still a necessary part of it, I do think that with the SPL lull, we are going to try and do another AMA episode coming up soon. So keep your eyes open for that. As well as, I didn't get a chance to set it up this week, but I feel comfortable just yeeting it out there because I'm calling myself out for next week. By next week's episode, we got to talking, and I think we're going to start a Backliners Patreon, where people who really enjoy the show and want to support us a little bit more can do so, and can also get some cool rewards. We'll be setting up a community Discord. You'll get priority access to random questions of the week. We're going to try and do some check-ins after our shows where we just kind of go and hang out in the Discord for a little bit after the show is done, and just kind of do a post-show hangout with our Patreon subscribers, and of course giving you guys shout-outs for supporting the show in that way. So hopefully that will be up and running by next week, and as long as I don't suck at life.
And if not, it's not our fault.
Oh. Well, it would be exclusively my fault, and I will take responsibility.
Okay.
And I will get it done. That's just the way it has to go.
Because you've never not gotten it done. That's the thing.
Nope.
On to the patch notes.
On to the patch notes. Let's start at the very top here, except for not really, because that's where Ishtar is, and as I said, we're not covering her. The earring tree, Barry. Earring tree. We talked about it a little bit about on patch notes. Our philosophy around these items, I think, was always going to take a little bit of shifting, because
they changed the game so much.
Exactly, they really just break the rules as intended, and in a pretty fun, unique way. But it does not surprise me that it took a little bit of tweaking to get these into a spot that our community is more excited about, and that we still think is a good direction overall. Generally, in interest of getting the podcast done in time, I don't think I'm going to go through every change, but I think the earrings are a little bit of a special case. Losing some power for physical and magical, no longer decreasing your damage output at all, but instead decreasing your protections by 15%. So trying to, because it felt like a lot of the complaining is too much of a negative connotation. A lot of the frustration with this item was around tanks who were just like constantly CCing you and all this kind of stuff. Now this is better in the hands of mages. The downside doesn't affect them nearly as much, and the tanks are going to be affected quite a bit by this debuff that they would get. What do you think about Bobble after this change?
I mean, it's definitely scary whenever these knobs are turned on an item like this, because I mean, as we talked about, they can change the game completely. I think this is good, but a little scary. I haven't played, obviously, Smite in like 2 weeks, or like comp in like 2 weeks, so I don't know if it's like game breaking, but yeah, I think it's fine now. I don't think it's like OP. I just think it's like okay.
Yeah, I think a lesson that I'm continually trying to remind myself of that I have learned in my time as a dev is that this is a little scary, but like maybe fine is usually like a really good place to be for new content.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm like, yeah, I don't think this is broken, it is often items or abilities or changes that the majority of the fan base goes, who cares? Like, this doesn't do anything or anything like that. So in my experience so far, not always, but a lot of the time, it's not obviously insane, but like it scares me a little bit is like usually what I'm trying to get more comfortable in an uncomfortable zone there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Bobble definitely is an uncomfortable item, so I mean
Indeed. That's what it's
also
about.
real quick, all the support items level 15 by the way. They have been
Oh yes.
reverted back and changed / nerfed, or I guess nerfed but buffed.
Yeah, we'll talk about the caveat that kind of comes with that. I forgot that was at the very top there. Good call. But they all receive some type of thing later on that we can talk about. Griffin Wing, Barra, you get a little bit more magical power because it was low in comparison, and it no longer has any damage output debuff. How are you feeling about Griffin Wing now?
Definitely still a for fun item, but I think it's slightly. I think it's like 20 to 30% leaving the for fun item and going into like the actual like good item territory.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a little bit of like a Venn diagram situation, in my opinion, for this. I don't know if it's OP, but definitely in the territory of like where you're thinking about it now, instead of like, okay, I'm never building this item before, and now you're like, well, this might actually be okay.
I'm pretty sure that like I actively want this item on at least basically Gibelanke. Like X-Ball with this item in his ult, like I actually think it's legitimately like good.
I think it's like okay, because a lot of times when you're ulting, you're just hitting a front line that's right in front of you.
Yeah, but what if you can snipe them and you feel so cool? And you're not and this is important. This is important here, Barra. And
okay, sorry.
You aren't good enough to hit it without it. That's important.
Yeah. See, I don't see that as like, I don't see it as an always hit on the max range ult.
No, it's certainly not always, but it no doubt increases your hit rate.
Slightly. I don't think it's as much as you think it does, especially in like hectic team fight situations where you're trying to like bowl down the alley of a team fight and like slay their backliners. I feel like that's still like 50-50 unless they're CC'd or auto attacked or like shoved into like a corridor, but I feel like in those situations they're probably dead either way.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, someone in the chat says Hachi long range autos. I feel like it could be like feeling pretty good there. Ishtar, we did a lot of testing with Griffin Wing and Ishtar together during playtests, and Griffin Wing plus her Storm Shot, which already increases projectile speed, is like hilariously fast.
Yeah.
It's just like so weird looking. It's awesome.
How do they stack? Is it like additive?
There's no real way for me to know. Maybe like programmers can probably do it, but like I can't. I don't know. I can't like look at it and be able to tell you. Like maybe I could. So much of my job, by the way, is like trying to figure out like, can I like figure out a way to look at figure out this weird value without needing to ask somebody else. And so I was literally thinking like, could I time how long it takes for my basic to reach it with regular, and then with Griffin Wing, and then with Ishtar Storm Shot, and then do the calculation on how I get the number that I need in order to figure that out. Like maybe I could figure that out, but I'd have to put it on really slow-mo, and that's going to take me some time that I don't want to use, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean that just sounds way too complicated. I mean, you got better things
to
do.
Dude, I can't tell anybody why, because it has to do with like upcoming things. I can just say that last week there was one day, I think it was like Thursday, that I had to do so much math that I literally couldn't have a coherent thought the rest of the day. And it really wasn't that bad, for the record. It's just like my brain is not math brain, and I had to like figure out this like.
Wait, was it mental math?
No, I've got to. I was using a calculator, and all, no, I mean it was like percentages, and then making this change, and if I'm doing that, like, is this the right percentage that I'm getting, and like all this kind of stuff. And the way the thing is set up is very like complex. I just like I blue screened my brain is what it felt like. Like when your processor has too much going on and like your whole computer starts slowing down, that was me. Like I literally couldn't. My whole brain was slow the rest of the day.
Yeah, I tried to get Destiny doing like mental math, and she was like, this was before I knew she had like ADHD, and she was just like, yeah, it doesn't work for me. I'm like, why doesn't it work for you? It's so easy. And then we learn later she has it, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it is difficult.
That tracks.
It is difficult for sure. The only math that like I was only good at multiplication tables because I just like memorized them all, and that was it. Like that was the only way for me to know anything. I can memorize a lot of stuff. If I have to like do something in my brain, we're in trouble because I'm busy thinking about like what song was stuck in my head 3 weeks ago, like that I was thinking about. I still can't figure it out, by the way. It is really driving me insane.
Real quick,
before
we get back, there was one night, this is a terrible story.
Oh, that's good.
But I was like 11 or 12, and I had Sum 41's In Too Deep stuck in my head, literally from when I laid down to go to sleep to when I woke up the next day.
Yeah.
A really good song, but
that isn't normal for you?
No.
I have a song stuck in my there's a part of my brain that is constantly playing a song. Yeah, basically.
No shot.
All the time.
That's so cool.
Literally all the time. And sometimes I like can't hear it theoretically, like in my head, like I don't hear it. But if I'm ever like, what song is stuck in my head? Like I might not remember the name of the song or what it is, but like I've got something going all the time. From the minute I wake up until the moment I go to sleep.
That's crazy. I don't know if I'm jealous or not. I feel like that would get a little annoying.
It can, but it's generally kind of nice. Like I played in a Magic tournament this weekend, and I would just like what's really good for me is I can, if I'm like listening to music in between games, and then I take my headphones out, I like play. And instead of like my brain getting stuck in this loop of like, oh, you have to win this game or you lose or like you're out or like all those negative thoughts can kind of creep into your head, I can very easily like just hear the song that I was just listening to like over and over and over again. And so I just like stick a song in my head and then I just loop it whenever I'm focusing on other things. And it lasts for like a short period of time, and then I like use it up and I gotta like get another one. But that's kind of like it's kind of my strat.
Yeah, I don't think I have that. That's a pretty cool superpower.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. ADHD brain. Sometimes you get buffs. That's just how it is. Fabless Hoops is the next earring to talk about. No, you know what? I had a different transition plan, but we're talking so much about brain stuff that it's only right that we talk about our brand new sponsor to the show. It's BetterHelp. We talked about them last week. Super excited to have BetterHelp on the Backliner show. This is a service that helps connect you with therapists in order to try and match you easily with the right one and make it as affordable as possible. If you couldn't tell by the rant that I just went on about how my brain works with like music and that kind of stuff, I think that understanding the way that my brain works has been the greatest gift that I've given to myself in the last like 4 years of my life. Like, it has completely changed my whole life, just understanding how my brain works. And I cannot stress enough how good that is for you. So even if you aren't battling with anxiety or depression or anything else, mental illness related, I think that it's really, really good for you to go to therapy just to get a better understanding of how your brain like ticks, because in future situations you'll be much better prepared. And of course, if you are dealing with anxiety, depression, anything like that, then it's even more important for you to find the right therapist for you, and that's where BetterHelp can really come in. So these are some words from our sponsor, BetterHelp. This has been one of our most exciting. Well, I guess these aren't words from BetterHelp. These are words from me. Super excited that BetterHelp is on the show. Now these are words from BetterHelp. It's online therapy that offers video, phone, and live chat only therapy sessions, so you don't have to see anybody on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Bear, when you started going to therapy, was your first therapist like the one that you stuck with right away, or did you have to try and cycle through some to find the right one?
I got pretty lucky with mine. I'm still a little on the fence with him, but he seems really good and like down to earth, and he can swap between like therapy mode and like friend mode, which is really nice. Like if we're getting into like some deep stuff, he can like we can come back to surface level real quick and do like a quick little like reset, go back to the fountain and heal a bit, and then we delve like back down into the depths of whatever's happening in my brain. So it's really nice, and I completely retweet like everything Agro said, because it's like even if you just want to dip your toes in the water, if you've never had therapy before and currently don't have like any mental things going on, I think it's still nice to be able to talk to someone. And even if it's like problems you haven't thought about in a long time or situations you haven't thought about in a long time, everyone's got, their skeletons in the closet, and sometimes you can just show them to people. So
yep,
it's definitely really nice.
Yep, absolutely. The best thing you can do for yourself. So here's the good news. With BetterHelp, our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/backliners. That's better, BetterHelp.com/backliners. Again, super excited to have BetterHelp on the show. Okay, Fablest Hoops, getting back into it. Oh boy, Barry, we have used a lot of time already.
Speedrun.
Speedrun. Fablest Hoops have prots now. Good?
I don't know. It's kind of a random change, but I think better than before, but I don't know if OP. It's kind of the same way. I think Manticore Spikes is something everyone's talking about, so I think those are like actually good.
Yeah.
But this is like semi-good, I think.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at semi-good. I think it's like Griffin Wing tier.
Interesting. Okay. I think it's a little better than Griffin Wing tier. I think if your god can get away with some type of early item, or just straight it, like if Sylvanas can go something like Lotus Crown Fablest Hoops, he gets Fizz Prot from Lotus Crown, he gets Magical Prot from Fablest Hoops now. True. And your build is centered around your heal. It's, maybe you'll be weak when your heal is down, but when your heal is up, you should theoretically be very strong with a build like that. So I'm excited to see if that type of Lotus Crown into Fablest or Fablest into Lotus Crown ends up feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I think it should. I mean, you get a lot of like MP5 from Lotus as well.
Yeah, true.
Do you think you'll build it on like healers like hell, or you think it's still like not?
If I want magical protection, yes. If I want just straight defense, no, it is not going to be my best defense item. But yeah, I mean, 350 health, CDR, and 60 magical prot. It's like pretty good, and it's dirt cheap, so can't be that bad.
I'll start playing some more Smite this week. I'll do some testing.
Nice. Well, I eagerly await hearing how your testing goes. I gotta sneeze. Excuse me. And then finally, last but not least, Manticore Spike, the one that everybody's talking about, got 40 of each protection. It lost its HP 5 in CCR, but gains 40 of each protection. The duration of the buff goes up from 5 to 15, and the damage goes from 3 to 4% of your max HP. Well, of the buff user's max HP. That means if it's the user's, that's 6 to 8%. Everyone is talking about Manticore Spike right now. I don't think it's quite as good as people are saying. At least the proc. Like, its stats, for its cost, obviously very, very strong. However, I think the big thing with this item to keep in mind, like I've seen some people going these like full assassin builds with Manticore Spike, or like even these hybrid builds with Manticore Spike. even if the proc does 130 or 150 damage, which is like a lot for a tank, right? 150 extra damage on your kit is quite a bit and quite noticeable for a tank. If that were in a hybrid or assassin build, another hybrid or damage item, your combo would have just done more than the Manticore's proc did, right? Like you are giving up offensive stats in order to pick it up. So I do think that people haven't necessarily been thinking about that in that context of like, yes, I'm getting this much extra damage, but if this were a hybrid or damage item, like it would Glad Shield have done more for my overall combo than Manticore Spike? I think a lot of times the answer is probably yes. But obviously in the situations where you're building full tank and then you pick this up and no tank item would have given you that much damage, that's where it really shines, but that's what it's supposed to shine for. I don't think that I'll, like, if SPL were happening right now, it would not surprise me if there were like 5 Manticore Spikes in a game. I think that would probably be too many. Like, I don't think it's 5 Manticore Spikes in the match level good. I think you should be picking warriors and guardians that use Spike well and build it. I think it is that good. I think it is like meta shaping in what it does, but I don't think it's just buy on everybody, who cares how well you use it good.
Yeah.
Pick the characters that use it well, and you'll be rewarded.
Agreed. The only reason I don't like it is because I don't like having to pick things up in the middle of a team fight. If it was a little like, I guess chorey, or like my brain will just like, oh, I gotta pick it up regardless. It's like AMC Stinger.
Yep.
Like you just have to pick it up, or like your brain. I mean, obviously, I guess today when I was building it, it's like my first time ever building it, so probably if I built it more, but it's probably not going to be built on like hunters ever, so I probably don't need to worry about it anyways.
Sure.
But I do think it's pretty good. I do think it's buildable, so I agree.
I mean, I think that, well, I mean, I said it on the mid-season show and all that kind of stuff. The inconvenience of picking it up is there intentionally to be able to let that effect be stronger. There's certainly a balancing act between how annoying can it be to pick up before, no matter how good the effect is, I still don't want to do it. And like getting that, I'm not saying that we are at that perfect balance right now by any means, but I do think that the inconvenience and making you path differently and move differently is what allows the proc to be strong. And if it were like automatic or much easier, then its healthy state becomes, and it's also just less interesting in my mind. Like,
Agreed.
This tree is supposed to be unique in what it's doing. So
and then,
it changes it up.
And then it seems like all the flapping items got a nice little 100 gold buff.
Yep, Rod of Tahuti, little 15 power buff. We're loving that.
True. True.
Mage Gang, we're playing some mages. Perfected Rod now affects ultimate ability cooldown. I think that this item felt a little underpowered on release. It is a 3,600 gold item, and it did not feel that way. I haven't seen a lot of hype around this ultimate ability cooldown thing, but I wouldn't be surprised if it starts feeling pretty strong pretty quickly. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think we'll just have to wait for like 2 weeks when people start scrimming again and start breaking the game.
Yeah. Yep. Fair enough.
And I do like this poly buff.
Yeah, poly buff. What are your feels on this one? We talked about a lot of poly buffs, by the way. I know AJ said this on the patch notes show, so I'm allowed to say it. We had some spicy options for Polynomicon, and they scared me beyond the I'm scared but it might be okay level. And they scared a lot of people that way, not just me, obviously. And I think this is a good, it's cool, it's fun, it feels good, and it's still a little scary, but not as scary.
I think it is a little bit more approachable on mage ADCs now. Whereas before, I don't think I would ever buy the item, but now I feel like it's kind of like Griffin Wing. Like now, I'm at least thinking about it a little bit more and kind of like digesting it. I don't know if I will build it over another item for sure, but there's something more attractive now for sure.
Yeah, I think that'll be good. Speaking of ultimate cooldowns, Bumba's Hammer now allowed to affect ultimate cooldowns once again, now that the proc is much lower. Took us a little bit and a couple back and forth on the dial on Bumba's Hammer, but I think that this will put it in a spot that it feels more purchasable. Obviously, its purchase rate kind of like fell off the face of the earth after its most recent nerfs.
Which is fine.
Which is fine. It had its time in the sun. It had to take a little break. Do you think that this brings it back for at least some characters?
Oh yeah, for sure. Some characters abuse Bumbos obviously way more than others, so I think on those, I think it's like you're approaching it more now. You're thinking about it at least instead of like default going another one.
That's good. Jotun's Wrath, Cunning, Vigor, as well as Brawler's Beatstick, Crusher, all getting a little bit of power buffs. These are obviously aimed at ability assassins, as well as Titan's Bane going down in cost and internal cooldown from 8 to 6. Obviously, this helps the assassins quite a bit, but I also saw a lot of discussion that this might help hunters even more than assassins. Do you share that feeling?
I don't know if it helps them more. It's definitely when you buff like all of Ullr's items, I think he definitely gets better for sure. I don't know if it's like all hunters get better. I think it's just the mage hunter, or not mage hunters, but ability-based hunters. Yeah, like definitely benefit from this.
Do you think that? I mean, I wouldn't say that those have been particularly good as of late. You know, AMC obviously been really good. Ullr as well. Chiron like saw some play at Masters, but do you think that those gods just become like unbeatable with these changes, or do you think that traditional auto attack hunters still have a place?
Probably not unbeatable, but it would have been nice to see the other items in the hunter tree get buffed whenever these items go through, in my opinion. Or like, because this happens a lot where it's like, oh yeah, or like ability-based assassins are bad, let's buff the whole tree, and then it completely changes like the hunters.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of left out of check a fair bit, so... I did see like there was a Scotty buff, I think, later, so...
Yep.
Might be a little bit of a Scotty meta coming in, thankfully.
You're so welcome. Remember to hit the PayPal, or you could just hit the Patreon whenever that goes up. I know that you're going to be getting that as well, though, so that doesn't really... That's kind of just like giving away some of your money. So yeah, just give it straight to me, I've decided is what is.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, great.
Yeah, it's definitely better for assassins, and I think it's really good for the ability-based hunters, for sure.
All the tainted stuff, like just normalizing these, don't really have to go over those a whole lot. The masks just becoming a little bit easier and fixing a pretty important bug, especially in Rangda's case, of checking for Transcendence passive, making that work as intended. Rangdas and Lonos think that they're in a pretty good spot, I would say. I think that personally I'm pretty happy with where they've landed post mid-season. You know, fringe viable. Don't feel like you're griefing when you go this strategy, but not necessarily meta defining. How do you feel about the masks after this change?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't really see them too often. I mean, I saw Rangdas like the one game I think we played against like Leviathans in this normal split, but since then I haven't really seen the item be built. And kind of same for Lonos. Like I don't really know because I haven't seen the items actually. Because I never buy them, so I don't know. If I don't see anyone else buy them, I don't know.
You could though. I mean, you could play Rangda's 80, like something with Rangda's in ADC. Like surely that would be good.
Yeah, like what?
Well, you got lots of options. I mean, Rangda's Chalk obviously banging.
Really good.
Really good.
Yeah.
Rangda's Wukong, like you will one-shot people, and you will never get your ult off. But that's where you use it to. As a true decoy, like you use it in the jungle. It's kind of like awesome ganking someone with Fafnir, but instead of like pre-transforming in the jungle, you pre-Wukong ult in the jungle, and then your clone walks out, and they start hitting it, and then you like blink behind them. And that's the play.
Okay, Thoth. What if when you Wukong ult, you can control the decoy and swap it back and forth?
Okay, how?
I don't know. That's up for you. That's up to you.
No, I'll wait for you to figure that out for me, and then we can talk about it.
Here, okay, so I think you press 1 on your keyboard.
Okay.
And then it swaps to the decoy.
But
and then you press
why
1
wouldn't
again,
that use your first ability?
because you're in the cloud.
Oh, you can only control it while you're in the cloud.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you aim where you're going?
I'm trying to make your case better by ulting in the jungle as Wukong.
Uh-huh.
Instead of my decoy auto-attacking, a random minion in the jungle, or, walking in the lane.
Uh-huh.
So you can actually look like a normal human player instead of
right. Well, that's Bera, if you aren't acting like Wukong decoy walking into lane for 10 minutes before that to set them up, yeah, you're setting them up, you're messing with their brains.
That's okay, you're right.
You're conditioning them. That's the word I was looking for. You're conditioning your opponent. This is how I always walk into lane. And then you Wukong decoy. Bang. It's not you. They on her impale. The decoy. They're like, what just happened? You blink over purple wall.
Oh!
They're gone. They're gone. They're just dead. Tell me, even if you just got their beads, right? Even if you just got their beads, their mental would be obliterated. If you... Bera, think about it, okay? Think about it. You're playing against this dumb Wukong, right? This ranked as Wukong ADC. He keeps walking into lane. You keep impaling him against the wall. You're playing on her in this scenario. And you're like, this guy's such a moron. Then he comes into lane, same way. You impale him again, but he just disappears.
There's like a situation where I don't have wards anywhere, and
well, he's obviously put a sentry down. Like, come on.
And I'm also like my sound's turned all the way down. I can't hear him ulting in the jungle.
No, you do it from.
And I'm also
range. Don't worry about that one. Go ahead. Don't challenge me on that part because it didn't make any sense. That's not fair.
What if you could blink before you hit the ground on Wukong to change the lane? Okay, on to compassion. I will not entertain this scenario anymore.
If anyone sends me a clip on Twitter, of them Wukong ulting in the jungle, getting their target to use an ability on the clone, and then blinking on them or just getting on top of them and killing them, I will PayPal you $5. That would be really entertaining for me.
Huge.
I will do it.
That's a lot of income right there.
Yep. That is a lot of your time. Too. Yep. That is a lot of your time. Do not do the conversion rate on that. Certainly don't think about how that $5 doesn't mean anything in comparison in the face of inflation anymore. Don't think about that. Okay. Just tweet the clip. Okay.
Wait, what if does it have to be the ADC or does it have to be
No, any roll's fine.
Oh, okay. Then I'm playing Wukong ADC all day tomorrow, and I will get that $5. I am on the hunt.
Barry, I'll gift you 5 subs. You'll get extra for it.
Oh, okay. All right, chat. Tune in tomorrow to see me play Wukong ranked us all day tomorrow.
Apologize to your teammates in lobby for me.
It'll be casuals. Don't worry. I'm not.
Apologize anyways. Imagine. Oh my god, I'm in Barracuda's game. He's my idol. I'm so excited. I've been following him since season 1. I can't wait to see him lock in a Wukong. Okay, that's fine. And then they just hear an ally has been slain for the first 15 minutes of the game. But then he does it once. Yeah, he conditions him. He gets a kill. He's 1 in 7. And he's pogging off because he's got 5 gifted coming right there. That's the way it's going to go. All right,
it better happen during the game. That's all I'm saying. All right, on to compassion.
Let me... message me when you're doing it, and I'll try and put it up. Compassion, Sentinel's Embrace, and Sentinel's Boon. Now, all of the GP, or all the gold gain on these 3 items only apply if you have the lowest total gold on your team. This is the reason why we felt comfortable reverting all of the support starters to level 15, is because we had time to implement this type of tech. I know...
Makes sense.
I think that it's a very elegant solution to a problem of stacking these items that we felt pretty convinced was going to happen if we allowed them to be at level 15. If not now, then eventually. I know all of the stuff on Twitter that I have seen, or Reddit in particular, they love to bring up, what if my teammate DCs and we're playing 4v5 and now I'm not getting my gold per 5? And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Reddit user. You have lost that game. Your gold per 5, it won't make a difference. You will either win or lose that game, regardless of your gold per 5 in that exact circumstance. And it's so much easier and so much more simple to do it this way than to have to worry about if you have a teammate DC'd or something like that. What if your mid laner freaking sucks and they aren't farming very well and you have more gold than them?
Yeah, that seems like such an edge case.
You don't need the gold. There you go.
Yeah.
Pretty simple to me.
Something that has to be done so the item doesn't get abused. It's not that serious in your in your 3 a.m. queues where people just dodge all the time.
Sorry.
Yeah.
If there's a whole reason why, there's systems in place to try and make people not leave games. And we could, the efficiency of that is a totally separate discussion. This is a much easier way to do it. It's a much simpler way to do it. It's a much clearer way of doing it. I think it works.
Yeah, an item should not be balanced around a person DCing. That's...
Well, it's not. I think that their argument is like it shouldn't apply if there's someone like I should get it no matter what if someone DCs, and I think that people underestimate the amount of things that need to go into something in order for that type of thing to be in there, which is understandable. I also did not understand those things, and frankly, don't very well. They just tell me that those things are hard, and I believe them because they're good at their jobs. So that's typically the way things go, and I think that it's important to just think of these as a security blanket, a little bit of insurance that things are going the way that they should. And if you want a little bit of insurance on making sure that your internet browsing is going the way it should, well, Chad, I've got some good news for you. We've got a brand new sponsor. It's NordVPN. You don't got to worry about what you're doing on the internet. Well, unless you're doing something like super illegal, don't do those things. Overall, it's just much better and safer for you to be using a VPN, and NordVPN is the new sponsor of the Backliners. Look, if you're bored of US Netflix, you could just like watch UK Netflix and it's like totally different. That's news that is news to me. I've never watched UK Netflix, but now with NordVPN, I could. When I use it and with the click of a button, I can do just that. No need to travel for Japan for your favorite anime. When NordVPN brings it right to you. With 5,000 plus server options, no show is out of your reach. So using our link, nordvpn.com/backliners, you can receive a massive discount on a 2-year plan plus 1 free month. So that's a pretty good deal right there. Huge discount here with NordVPN. They've got all of your information protected, all that kind of stuff. I don't know about you, but like I got an email not that long ago. I don't know why you would have gotten this email, but have you ever gotten an email about like your password reset has been unsuccessful from like your Best Buy account from that you made when you were like 13, and you're like, oh crap, like I have no idea what that info is. You don't want to have to worry about that kind of stuff. Nope. You really don't. It's a total hassle.
Also, I learned recently that your internet browser or your internet company, they know apparently all of the websites you go to.
Correct.
If you don't use a VPN.
Correct.
So if you don't want your internet company and possibly everyone else,
Barrow, why does that concern you so much?
I mean, you don't know what the Smite community is looking up in their spare time. That's what I'm saying. I'm looking out for the little guy here. Mm-hmm. So,
Oh, man, you are so...
I got your back.
Barra, you are so lucky this is a PG show, man. I had it. I'm tilted that I can't say it. They've also doubled down on keeping you safe with their new threat protection feature. Yeah, I could tell that joke in our post show in the Patreon call for sure. Say goodbye to intrusive website ads and malware. Even if you download an infected file, threat protection kicks in and deletes it before it makes a mess of your computer. Don't forget, there's literally no risk to you with their 30-day money-back guarantee. So give it a try, and if you like it, great. If you don't, they'll issue you a refund, and you can pretend the entire situation never even happened. Check out my link, which is nordvpn.com/backliners. Barra's link is also nordvpn.com/backliners, and get your subscription started today. That is untrue. Okay, we got to blast through some of these gods. Actually, we don't have to blast too much.
No, we did pretty good. We're
on pace.
Good.
Good work.
We're on pace, yeah.
We're doing good.
That was me.
That really was you, not kidding. Nox getting a base damage increase to minions on her 1, and alongside some non-conquest balancing. I think that these are really good areas to see this new feature of non-conquest balance kind of allow us to do more things.
Fantastic.
I think it's good. Or was that sarcastic or serious? I couldn't tell.
No, I was angry that she didn't get nerfed in the first non-conquest.
Yeah.
And now I am very happy because this character, if you're locking in Nox anywhere outside of the conquest, just rethink what you're doing that night, you know. You were ruining 5 people's lives by locking in that character. Like, if you lock it in an arena and you go like Bobble right now, I hate you. I'm sorry. You might be a great person. Like, you might, you know, volunteer at the soup kitchen and take care of, you know, elders, walk them across the street every night. But if you're locking in Nox in my arena games, shame. Shame.
Barra, should I say the joke that's on my mind? It's PG.
Nope.
So, okay.
Nope.
All right. Understandable. Giannis, getting... There's actually... It was a running joke for a long time that I don't think we literally ever explained publicly. If there are massive SBL fans out there who remember to stretch like season 4... it was like season 4 through season 6, I want to say, where occasionally the casters would just say, so anyways, Sobek, and then like go into something completely random and it made no sense ever. It's because there was one time where Taco was going on a particularly unique train of thought on broadcast when she had just been hired.
Oh no.
And F. really could not get her off of it. And so he just cut her off and went, so anyways, Sobek in this game, he has a pluck, you know, like he basically just like did that. And so and it became this like huge running bit where anytime like one of us was totally off the rails and was just saying something like absolutely unhinged, we would always transition back to, so anyways, Sobek. And that's kind of like what I just did with the Giannis. It just reminded me of that. Those were good times.
Okay, that's crazy. I don't want to get on a tangent here, but that's crazy. F. Dot's the guy reeling somebody
That's how you knew.
That's
Taco
crazy.
was in. I don't remember exactly what that. I should probably know before I tell that story, like what her tangent was about. I remember it being particularly bad that we needed to like. There are times you just gotta pull the e-brake a little bit.
Yeah,
you know? It was the cliff's edge, and Tom like reached. She had already leaped, and Tom like
he's Sobek plucked her back.
Yeah, he's Sobek plucked her back exactly. So, anyways, Giannis, little bit tankier base physical protections. Those were a little bit low, and maybe one of the smallest buffs on paper that we've done in a long time, the 10 base damage on Unstable Vortex. But remember that that's per projectile, so there's 2 of those. So in the middle, it does a little bit more. Giannis pretty rough right now, and I don't think that this is going to make him significantly better in high-level Conquest, but it at least makes me think like, yeah, I should play a Giannis game and like see how he feels. But I just don't think that anytime Warlock Staff is meta in mid, which it might not be anymore after the cost decreases on the pen tree, but when Warlock Staff is meta, Giannis is not a good pick because he doesn't build Warlocks well and he doesn't kill gods with Warlocks well. And those are 2 pretty important things for him. So that's kind of the way it is.
This god. Oh, aggro.
Barry, what are we supposed to do, man? What are we supposed to do? Raijin is this god that anytime, if we literally gave Raijin 1 damage on Percussive Storm, the whole pro scene would be like, he's the best mid in the game. He hasn't been played all year, and now he's top pick, top ban, unbeatable. Can't do anything against him. Surely he will not be top pick, top ban with this change.
Yeah, it's crazy all 3 of his hits got buffed, too.
Yeah, they're all the same shot. They can't be different. That's not how the ability works.
Oh, it's just, yeah. 1, 2.
Oh, yeah, okay, you piece. Unbelievable. And I let a joke about your little guy go earlier, too. That is insane.
I can't believe you brought it back, dude.
So anyways, Thoth, decrease the number of kills per stack. We can't even do a less than an hour without getting completely destroyed mentally. Now he's going to get his passive a little bit more quickly and increase the damage on his ultimate at early ranks, still scales to the same point. I still think Thoth does build warlocks pretty well, I think. Because he doesn't need the flat pen items as much because of his passive. I wouldn't be surprised that if Thoth comes back a little bit because of this change. In pro play, he's always hard because it's just like so easy to kill him on a coordinated team. But I imagine his ranked success rate might go up a little bit as a result of this change.
I kind of just feel like Yu Huang is just better Thoth.
Interesting.
I don't know how accurate that is, but that's what my brain's telling me right now. So
yeah,
I said it out loud.
I see some similarities. You know,
thank you.
I'm not angry at it. I am angry at this though. Scotty getting some buffs. Yeah, I don't know. Scotty's just one of those gods. You love her or you hate her, right?
This character should never be meta. That's the thing about Scotty. She should never be meta because this character is suffocating. Like if
you're like the Scotty, you're like one of the Scotty guys.
Yeah, it's the same with Jing Wei. If they're meta, it's a terrible meta. Like you don't want these characters actually running the games. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't think these buffs will make her run the games, but just when they're like overly OP, then it just makes it bad. Well, I don't think that's what is happening here. But it will be more attractive with the ult damage because that doesn't really do damage.
Yeah.
You know, you're just kind of like yeeting it out there, and your dog like dash attacks doing the majority of the damage. But now it's like you can actually think about it a little bit.
I mean, if you have those, because there isn't damage reduction on both snowstorms hitting the same target, right? Because Caldier gets a snowstorm and Scotty gets a snowstorm.
Yep.
And there's no damage reduction. A lot of times that's what we do in order to prevent insane like DPS in certain situations. But I mean, that gets like 40% extra scaling if you're hitting both snowstorms because it gets 20% per snowstorm. So now that's 40% if you're hitting both snowstorms. That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot right there.
Tank?
But she got nerfed with the DR change, so unlucky.
Did she? Because the root, right? Yeah. Of course. Speaking of roots and getting worse from that, Neith.
40.
Yeah.
Holy.
I mean, this is okay.
Sexy.
Man, I really, I know that someone like did some work for us for the soundboard. I really got to get that set up. I need that for the soundboard, for the Backliners podcast soundboard for sure. Sexy! That'd be so good. I'm going to be in the middle of a Mint mobile ad and just going to hear sexy, sexy, sexy. Like I'm going to be spamming it for myself. Oh, I should not be the one getting control of that. Look, everyone thinks of this god as just like, she doesn't really use like a lot of mana because she builds Transcendence, but her early lane is like really rough for her mana consumption a lot of the time, and especially with the cooldown going down with Spirit Arrow, something that oftentimes happens with like primary clear abilities going down in cooldown in the early game is that players run out of mana really quickly in those instances because they're just using that ability more often and they don't take that into consideration with their mana usage. So I really like the idea of pairing this cooldown with the mana cost decrease at the same time so that it doesn't feel like oppressive.
Hear me out here.
Yeah, go for it.
What if we just sped up the 2?
Yeah, that is a thing that is possible for us.
Really?
Anything is, well, not anything, but like a lot of things are really possible. It's just the ease at which those things are possible, and how many different departments need to get involved, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
sorry,
I mean,
Neith, you're staying in the can.
It's not out of the question, but it does a lot. Like it would have to lose a lot of strength in order to get that.
That's fine. I can't get the ability off anyways.
Hey, fair enough. I mean, that I just had an insane Neith idea that'll never happen, but you know that's the way it is.
It's because she's still casting her too.
Right, exactly. To this very day. Guan Yu, Look, Guan is going to be nuts, by the way. This character...
Hasn't he been buffed over and over again? Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No, you're good. That's what it's about. Let me look up when his last buff was.
Maybe I've just read this buff so many times at this point, because the patch notes came out a fair bit ago.
They sure did.
But I feel like he just got buffed the patch before this. Maybe I'm trolling?
I will check. Nope, he got buffed in 8.11 was his last buff. November of 2021.
So I'm trolling.
Trolling has been detected in this instance for sure. A little bit lower cooldown on his 1 and his 2, just 1 second off both. This plus Fablest, probably pretty good for Guan. I would not be surprised if this became a Guan-centric solo meta in some way, in one way or another. This is my favorite change in the whole patch, Barry, for Set. This was like, I'm excited about this Sandstorm buff. Because not just the cooldown, of course, but the mitigation used to just be physical mitigation. Now it's just true mitigation by 10%. Set is one of those gods that like he's going to get kills early. If it's a competent player, Set is going to get kills early, and it's very, very hard to stop. But you get to the team fighting stage of Set, and you're like, this says a lot about me as a player, and this is true. I will sometimes walk into a game as Set. I played a ton of the god. I love him. He's one of my favorite god kits in the game. I'm gonna get fed early most of the time. There have been so many games where I'm like 12-1 is Set, completely stomping the entire game, and it gets to the team fighting phase and we're 5v5ing, and I'm like, by the end of the game I'm 12-6 and we've lost. Mm-hmm. It's just like it is so hard to team fight on this god, and that's on me more than anything else. If you're here's a hint. If you're 12-1 and on any god and you guys lose the game, it's probably your fault. I'm sorry but it's true. Mm-hmm. This is Set. Especially Set. This is gonna help him a lot in team fights, I think.
Yep, agreed. I think it'll make him able to make his own plays instead of waiting for the room to be made. He can just be like, okay, I'm getting in there.
Go time, baby. Love it. By the way, Sigil Set is the truth. He doesn't really need a starter item early. You know, your pre-transcendence waves are going to be a little rough. Once you get trans, you don't need a starter item anymore.
Oh, you're talking about solo.
And I'm playing a mid, dude. This is my mid set.
Oh, sorry.
You go trans. You could do this in ADC or solo. You could do it any lane. Don't need a starter item. You go trans. You get Crusher, all the usual stuff. And then your last 2 items are Sigil and Mantle. And all of a sudden, you're just this mitigation monster. And you're super tanky. And yes, I was still dying in team fights, but now I won't because of this. Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Aries, getting a little bit of extra shackle damage, decreasing the cooldown on no escape, and increasing that in non-conquest modes in order to match. I said this on the patch notes. He was actually the most resilient god to his non-conquest nerfs, and he got a heavy one, like 15% cooldown reduction increase on his ultimate is a huge nerf. And he didn't move that much, which is really crazy. So it makes sense that if we're going to buff him, which I think we should, then we have to keep that non-conquest nerf at least where it is, which is really what we did.
Yep, 100%.
This ultimate is just not a 100-second cooldown ultimate strength. Like, to new players, it should be a 5-minute cooldown because it kills them every time.
Yep.
To experienced players, this is not 100 seconds worth of strength. This is a 90-second ultimate across the board. And I think that change is going to help him a lot, especially in high level. Like, 10 seconds ultimate cooldown is such a huge difference in comp play.
Yep, completely agreed. I think this is a good change for Aries as well, because I think he was just a bit lackluster. Like, even in the comps that he was really good in, he would still be Aries. Like, he would still just die and not be able to pull anyone. So I think now, like I already said, I think that 10 seconds buff in Conquest is really big.
All right, we're speed running because we're running out of time. Still got to do the random question, all that kind of stuff. Cerberus, anything here, Barry? I mean, God better.
Dead God getting buffs. That's it.
Kumbhakarna.
Dead, formerly OP God, now Dead God getting buffs. Probably not that strong, but better.
These are crazy buffs, bro. These are crazy buffs. A minute off his passive. Yeah, but 2 seconds off the 2 or the 1. Excuse me, that's big. and like 40 base damage on an ultimate that already like one taps you. Not actually one taps you, but like for a Guardian ultimate, it does a lot.
Yeah, but I think you're still Kumba and you still do nothing. So yeah,
understandable. Terra.
A really good god already, in my opinion. I think she was underplayed. I do think Ankh completely dumpsters her. Unfortunately, but if they don't go in Ankh, good god.
Good god. Sylvanas.
We talked about him earlier. I think he's probably pretty strong with Lotus Fabulous too. He kind of planted that seed.
We'll see that he plants seeds all over the battlefield. So that's what that's what I'm doing. Yep.
So good. Yeah, might actually be good now. I think he just kind of died before, but actually these buffs aren't that big. Still trash.
Okay. Bacchus. This one is interesting to me. I didn't hear a lot of talk about this, but I feel like there's a really big deal. This added damage to lane minions on Belch. This was a god that was on the very low end of helping push your lane as an ADC. This is not going to make him Sylvanas, but I think it takes him out of like Geb tier, probably, right?
Yeah, do you max a 3 now, I guess?
I think you do because of the stun duration, yeah. The stun duration now goes up.
I just think like gods like Bacchus where you want to kill someone in the flop, like I think the health changes really hurt Bacchus a long time ago, or like a few months ago. And I think since then he hasn't really like recovered. I think he's okay, but I don't think he's like too strong. But the healing reduction, in my opinion, is like the whole reason you would draft a Bacchus, like healing reduction plus if you needed a knockup, which in my opinion probably the best AC in the game right now. So yeah.
No, this god's OP. I've decided.
Okay.
You know, Intoxicate is no longer a hard CC, and so it's just 6 seconds Intoxicate all the time, no matter what. Okay, he's OP. And there we go. Healing duration, healing debuff durations all go up across the board. Yada yada yada. All that.
So like Chunga, Cuckoo, Medusa all get slight buff on their healing reduction, and that's it.
Yep. Now we're all nice and consistent on
right on time.
Right on time, except for the fact that I haven't told you about Mint Mobile, Barra. You haven't done it, but this one's gonna be quick because I'm not gonna have to do any of the work. I was doing a cardinal sin and checking our YouTube comments because I was curious about something that I wanted some feedback on. And I came across this one 5 days ago from our homie on YouTube, Cleansed in Fire. This is their verbatim YouTube comment unless they edit it and they boom me in this way. Okay, so you guys finally convinced me to switch to Mint Mobile. I was expecting a drop in service quality, but surprisingly, my service got better and it's saving me $100 a month. I had some technical issues the first day because of the model of my phone, but my wife used an iPhone and had no issues and it seems like they got those fixed out with their phone. That part was not verbatim. Now we're going back to quoting. So now we're just sitting here with better service for a fraction of the cost. Thanks for slamming me with the ad reads until I finally broke. Cleanse and Fire, you are welcome. You are welcome. And thank you for your kind words. And no better way. I mean, I don't know who Cleanse and Fire is, but they sound really handsome if you had to ask me.
Smart.
Really smart too, for sure. Look, to get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped straight to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/backliners. That's mintmobile.com/backliners. Get your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/backliners. It's good enough for Barracuda. It's good enough for Derpy Bear. It's good enough for Cleanse and Fire and Cleanse and Fire's wife. What else could you possibly need?
Nothing. Sign up now.
Sign up now. Barra, this is going to be our very first, maybe not very first, but I do have a pop culture, like hot topic in the sphere type of random question of the week. I don't know if you caught all of the drama today with 100 Thieves and like Frosty and Nade Shot and all this kind of stuff, but Frosty was this content creator for 100 Thieves who said that 100 Thieves wasn't paying him and his like content group enough, and Nade Shot went live with this stream talking about like, hey man, like we paid what we felt like it was a fair rate, and we just didn't feel like they were hungry enough, and like all that kind of stuff. And just wanted to get like this isn't really like the most structured random question of the week, but this is something that I was literally going to ask you about anyways, and I figured that it might be good podcast content. For content creators, what do you think constitutes like enough value from an organization? Like what do you think an organization needs to do? Do they need to provide a certain amount of like income or like what basically the whole conversation stemmed around like they weren't getting enough money to do what like to live normal lives. Like they were getting paid too little money. And Nadeshot came out and said that they were each getting paid like $60K a year, I think.
Wow.
But which seems like a good amount to me as a baseline. I don't know. I didn't watch his whole stream, so I don't know if there was, if they were taking money off of their YouTube revenue or Twitch revenue or anything like that. I know that the number that went out there for like sponsorship deals was they were getting 100 Thieves was taking 85% of any sponsorship deals, 15,
What?
and it was split between like 5 people or something like that, or 4 or 5 people for this content crew. So that's like, so there are some weird things, but this is how it goes. Like in the sphere, like stuff, these contracts can get really weird really quickly. I just wanted to like get your general thoughts on all that kind of stuff.
100 Thieves was taking 85% of their sponsorship deals?
Any sponsor that 100 Thieves paired to this group, they were called the Mob. Any sponsor that they brought to them, 100 Thieves would take 85%, and the Mob split 15% was their deal.
Yeah, that's terrible.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, if they're like actually big streamers.
But that's the trade-off you get for getting 60K, a month base is like part of their argument, right?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I feel like it should be more of a lower salary, but more freedom on the content creator side. Like, in my opinion, I don't think, like, if they're that big of a content creator, the 60K doesn't really matter to them. I mean, like, if they were
I don't think they were huge content creators before they got signed. Like, this was their first...
Okay. Oh, okay.
I think this was their first org.
If it's their first, but they're signed with 100 Thieves, it would still have to be big, in my opinion. Like,
yeah, they weren't like...
massive.
Yeah, they weren't like little, like they weren't getting 50 viewers or anything like that.
Yeah,
but,
I'm not...
Oh, no, apparently they were on Soar before they joined 100 Thieves.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure about Soar either. But yeah, in my opinion, the salary should be low, and because content creators right now, it's very lucrative. And like if you're taking like sponsorship deals and like mobile game ads and all of that stuff, it's very lucrative right now, and a lot of people are dumping a lot of money in. So I can see why they're getting upset. Like, if they have several thousand viewers, those mobile game ads are paying crazy money. And
yeah, I wonder how that was set up. I mean, obviously, there's like a tough thing to talk about because we know so little about like the details and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. It's just like I see it a lot. I'm still pretty tuned in to like the COD scene and all that kind of stuff. And obviously, it's a big story there because Nadeshot's involved. And my general opinion is like, as with all things, pretty much, I think that they both have a little bit of like, yeah, this was crappy, but that's the way it goes, and is like an acceptable crappy situation. And both sides like also have had some really good points and like looked pretty good. And I'm very much not like a both sides kind of guy, but I think that in situations like these in particular, like, yeah, I think it's very fair for Frosty or whoever to feel unvalued. And it's also very fair for Nadeshot and 100 Thieves to feel like we treated you guys as well as anyone can be expected to be treated in this space. I think they're both probably right to some degree.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more on the content creators for signing that kind of contract. I feel like that kind of contract is for a lower end content creator where they need the guaranteed salary, and most likely they will be making money that wouldn't be recouped in the sponsorship deals for them. So the salary is necessary. But if you're a top end content creator or like a mid tier content creator, then your sponsorship deals are raking in so much money in this, like, I mean, it's gonna sound like troll, but in this economy, like, people are dumping a lot of money.
Yeah, it can't sustain it. The ad prices that I'm seeing from like Twitch streamers are like tweeting out like the this is how much, like, sorry for all the ads, but I saw one from like a big streamer. It was like $21,000 if they played ads, that amount of ads. And it's like, it just can't be sustainable. It just can't be.
Yeah. Well, if we keep talking on this, it'll open up like another hour.
Yeah, I know. We got to go. I will say, last thing about this, one of the most interesting tweets that I saw about that situation was Myth, who was on TSM and huge content creator. He tweeted that the mob got paid more than he did when he first signed to TSM. So when Myth first signed to TSM, he made less than the mob got. And someone in chat, I believe I saw this, so I feel comfortable saying it, saying that the split was only for sponsors that 100 Thieves brought to them. For sponsors they found on their own, they were not subject to that split.
Oh, that's much better. That completely changed it. Yeah, that's fine.
I agree. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, I misunderstood then.
Because look, is 15% a lot? No. Are you the commodity? Yes, I get that.
Yeah,
that's still 15% of an amount of money that you wouldn't have gotten, or would have had to work significantly harder for. Like, that's the point.
For all of my agreements in the past, I've never gotten paid outside of my salary for doing any kind of like sponsorship deal, like through like the org or like talking about any of that. That was just including the salary. The fact that they were getting paid plus getting 60K plus getting 100% of their own sponsorship, in my opinion, the players are at fault and they're being crybabies. Like, that is such a privileged spot to be in that's kind of embarrassing to even talk about, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. That's definitely a story that I'm going to follow just because, I'm interested in it. And it is not, I've said a million times that I'm like, I've followed Nadeshot since he had a very small YouTube channel, and I'm a huge fan of his. So interested to see how it continues to develop. But yeah, just wanted to bring it up because it was timely and a little bit of a different thing for the flavor of the week, or the random question of the week. Go ahead.
He tweeted that he didn't know where his next meal was coming from.
Yeah, he did tweet that.
Seriously? Like, on a serious note?
Yeah, he did tweet that. Yep. He did say that. That he didn't, that they were worried about food and all that kind of stuff. And it is LA. They were living in LA.
Okay.
But certainly, if you're getting paid $60,000 a year and being told to create content, the idea is that that's $60K so that you know that you can not stress about your bottom line, like that you know that you're getting baseline this much, and you are now free to create content. It is not that you have made it and you're done creating content. That should only, like, in an ideal world, that sets you up to make better content, right? And I agree. I know it's not always how it works, all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying anyone has to work, every hour of every day, especially content creators. I don't think their job is easy, but it is not like, cool, I got paid. That's the only income I have to make this year. I think that in 100 Thieves' eyes, I assume that it's like, here's this money, so you know that you have this much money coming in. That takes some pressure off of you. Still go and make your own money. You know what I mean? Like, that's the part of it. That doesn't have to be your whole yearly thing. In that situation, is my understanding. Again, I don't know.
I do agree that, yeah, in LA, it's actually crazy. I don't think 60K is probably a livable wage there.
No, I don't know what they were like. I know they had to like go into a certain house. They had to live in a content house.
Is their mortgage being paid for?
I saw that it was, and I saw that it wasn't.
What?
I saw both sides. I really don't know. So yeah, I don't know exactly which one it was. Yeah, I don't know. There's still a lot coming out. This was clearly not very well researched by me. That's a typical podcast experience. You're going to get it. And we were going to be right around an hour, but then I opened it up. So that's...
yeah, I mean, it's a very spicy topic with like 1,000 details that all those details matter a whole lot. So
exactly. Yeah, I've got a million thoughts on this, and we just don't have the time. But thanks, everyone, for tuning in. make sure you check out all of our sponsors, including BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/backliners, NordVPN, nordvpn.com/backliners, and of course Mint Mobile, mintmobile.com/backliners. We do better whenever you guys interact with our sponsors with that discussion in mind. So it does help us. In that same sort of vein, if you do want to support us even more and in a more direct way, I should say, we will be setting up a Patreon that should be live next week. So keep your eyes out for that. And if you have ideas on things that you would want to see that you think would be good rewards for our Patreons, I want to make it feel like it's not just like throwing your money away and that you get a benefit for it. So please let me know if you have any ideas on that. DM me on Twitter, all that kind of good stuff. We'll be back next week with something, and then we'll be back in the future, even after that, with something else, because that's usually how it goes around here. Barra, sorry that we took so long and you got to go do your business. I'll let you close it. You know what to do.
Bye!
Yeah, a little squeaky on the way out, but that's because you were under pressure, and I get it.
Literally, the pressure is
it's building. Yeah,
so
here we go. Yep.
This crock pot's ready to explode.